And so she's living in the city as a blue my secretary. No one ever told her that someday maybe she'd have to give in. Thought you'd take the time and teach you quite a lesson, but soon she's feeling down. It's really quite depressing now that no one else thinks she was born to win. 'Cause we all walk the line, all walk the line, and we give in. Yes, we all walk the line, and we give in. We give in, we give in. Someone was hot, she's so thin in the city, and triple jobs and slobs who don't know much of anything. And one day she's had enough, she gives up, she gives in to men again because he's got the money. Had some kids and said they're his. She'll get the house when she wants out. She's got the lifestyle now without the worry. 'Cause we all walk the line, all walk the line, then we give in. Yes, we all walk the line, then we give in. We give in, we give in. Now we're taking to the high road. Cross the storm, you're on your own. 'Cause in this dirty world, no one's perfect. And we all walk the line, then we give in. Yes, we all walk the line, or maybe we walk the line, then we give in. Yes, we all walk the line, then we yes, we all walk the line, or maybe we walk the line, we give in, we give in, we give in. One, two, three, I know you can clap along with this, I know you can, because there's a lot of musicians in the room. I get this feeling. Oh, baby, we walk the line. You know, oh, baby, we walk the line. Yes, we all walk the line. Maybe we walk the line. Then we give it up. We give it, we give it, we give it. You'd like to know about my last album, which was called Ebb and Flow, and it was a love letter to Laurel Canyon. So that's the 1970s music in California. And it was James Taylor, Carole King, Joni Mitchell, you know, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Jackson Browne, all those people who really were the first people to write confessional music, really personal music, and to write beautiful songs, but with these very hard lyrics, very deeply emotional and difficult lyrics, like Fire and Rain or, you know, Blue. And I got together the original players, original musicians who worked with James Taylor. So that was Leland Sklar, Russ Kunkel, Waddy Wachtel. And we recorded it old style, in the round, live, in a very famous studio where many of the records from that era, from that time, were recorded. So I wanted to do it absolutely the right way, and it was also it was important for me to work with the real guys, not just getting the sound and pretending, but to get the real guys, the guys I grew up listening to and singing along in the car to with my parents. That was very important. And for this this new record that I'm going to be playing tonight, Leland absolutely has become a really important musician for me, a very important musician for me to, a foil, you know? He's like, we dance around each other. And Russell is also playing on it, Wadi Bortel is playing on it too. But now it's a mixture of those guys and my British musicians. So it's Pedro Segundo, who's actually from Lisbon, but works mostly in London, in Britain. And Gabriella Swallow on cello, and a string section. There's a lot of orchestra on this record. So it's gone from this very, you know, it isn't a mimicking, it's not pretending to be from the 70s. It is a love letter to that time. It's gone from that, and it's come through to this new record, which has, again, a very orchestral sound, a very classical sound. And it mixes all the things that I grew up loving, which is classical music, jazz, folk. It's, you know, there's a lot of black influences, a lot of black music influences in there, but it's everything mixed together. And it's, unlike the last one, it's me looking out into the world. It's me looking at everything that's going on around me. It's not so about inside. It's really me being very observational, which is good because, you know, because I'm narcissistic, you know, like all musicians. And if they say no, they're lying to you. But every artist, every performer has a big ego and is a narcissist, really. I mean, we just want to be loved. So, but instead of being inside, I think it means I'm probably getting healthy because I'm looking outside myself. What does music mean to me? It is the love of my life, apart from my husband, my sister, my family. But it is the thing that I believe I was put here to do. I've been doing it since I was a little girl, and it is the reason why I'm here. Simple as that. My relationship with Leland is, it's incredible. It's really, it's a very unusual relationship because we dance around each other. We have a way of, yeah, it's like you're dancing with somebody. It's like you're having a tango with someone. But I play the piano I play all the bass notes, really, in my piano playing. So Leland, as a bass player, and he learned to do this with James Taylor, because James Taylor played all the bass notes when he was playing guitar. So with me, Leland plays around my piano playing. He finds the places to play that I'm not playing. And so he's become the most perfect musical partner for me. And he's also a great friend. He's also one of the funniest people I know. He's also somebody who, when I'm on the road, we go out together. We go out all day, every day. Sometimes we remember we have a show to do. But he is a great collaborator, and I feel very, very lucky to have met Leland. And the other musicians that I work with, Gabriella, Pedro, they are absolutely like family to me. They are absolutely very, very close to me because, hit my microphone. They're very close to me because I can't work with people who I don't love. I mean, I cannot work with people who I don't feel a real closeness to, and whose music I love, whose playing I love, but mostly who I like as people, because it's very personal, and you spend a lot of time with these people, and you need to feel very safe with them because they're holding your music. They are around you, so you have to trust them completely. And I have the most beautiful, beautiful people that I work with.
I met Judith Owen through her husband Harry. I was working on an album with Harry. We were doing live performances for a thing that was about the end of the Bush administration, because he writes all these great parody and politically correct, as far as I'm concerned, songs. So we were doing this, and we played a gig up in Seattle, Washington, at a place called Blues Alley, and he said, my wife's going to sit in on a couple of songs. And Judith came in and sat at the piano, and my mouth dropped. I knew her as his wife, but I had never really heard her music. And it completely blew my mind, and I was sold the instant I heard her, like I hope everybody does who comes to these gigs. And we connected, and she was going through a real difficult part when her father was dying of cancer. And we really kind of bonded during that period, and she wanted to do something cathartic to honor his memory when he passed. And she loved that music, as I think she told you in interviews, that she was a real fan of the James Taylor, Joni Mitchell period. And she came to me and said, I'd love to do a record, kind of my homage to that period. And I said, I'd love to do it. Are you kidding? I think you're amazing. And she said, do you think you could get Russ and Waddy to do it? And at this point, all it takes is a phone call. And the minute they heard her, they just went, oh, absolutely, this is fantastic. And Russ was the original drummer in Spinal Tap, so he already knew Harry. I mean, we all knew Harry, so this was developing a relationship with Judith. And we went in the studio, cut the whole album within a week, did it all old school at one of the original old studios in LA that I still work at all the time, called Sunset Sound. And we went in and cut it as a band, you know, and we pretty much almost live. We cut, you know, within a take or two every song. And she and I just bonded immediately. She's like a soulmate to me, and I love being on the road with her. She has a joy of adventure on the road that's fantastic. So every day the phone rings and she goes, let's hit it, let's get out there. And we go to museums and cathedrals and parks and junk shops and stuff, and then we come back and we get to play a concert. So it's heaven. I'm having the best time ever with her, and I hope we can work together for years and years to come. And it's very special to me.
Can have some honest affection. Couldn't understand how she could be so strong. She cried inside with a little introspection. She said, gotta be the first to know when you are wrong. She met a stranger in strange circumstances. Took fries like they were long lost friends. When he left her, her heart was filled with Eastern dances.
I started my musical adventure as a piano player when I was 5 years old. There was an old pianist on television named Liberace, and my family would watch his TV show, and I fell in love with watching him play piano, and we had a piano. So I began on piano, and I studied piano until I was 12 years old, and then I went into junior high school in Los Angeles thinking I was going to be the piano player, but there was like 50 kids that play piano. So they said they needed a string bass player and pulled out a string bass, and I put that up against me and played one note on it, and I was sold. And I stopped playing piano for the most part and became a bass player. I was in bands locally in Los Angeles for many years, and through a series of circumstances, when I was in a band called Wolfgang, a friend of the drummer brought a friend of his to one of our rehearsals, and that friend was James Taylor. And James and I hooked up at that point, and it changed my entire life. He had just gotten back from England and recorded Fire and Rain on his first album, and he got offered a gig in Los Angeles at the Troubadour to play, and he remembered me from the rehearsal that he came to with this other band. And I went and played one show with him, and it turned into the rest of my life. You never know. You come through crossroads in your life, and this was a crossroad. I was in college studying science and art, and suddenly I was a musician. I was back in the music business, and never looked back. I left college, never graduated, and so that was a pivotal moment in my life, was meeting James, and everything changed dramatically at that point. And it was the perfect storm, because if he wasn't become as big as he was, my career wouldn't have done what it did, but I was sitting right there with him, so that was an amazing moment. I've been very fortunate in my career to have worked with so many different artists, starting with James Taylor. With that came an entire new movement in the West Coast based around Los Angeles. So I was working with James Taylor, but because of our recognition with him, the singer-songwriter movement took place. So then I suddenly was working with Linda Ronstadt and Carole King and Jackson Browne and Joni Mitchell. The Eagles had formed, Poco, the Burrito Brothers. There was a real energy in Los Angeles, and I was fortunate enough to be in the center of all of this. And through that, it's all a business based really on connections and relationships. And that was how I ended up meeting Phil Collins and working with him through the band that was playing on the James Taylor records, and which we became the Section with Danny Korchmar and Russ Kunkel and Craig Durgee. We ended up on the road opening for Mahavishnu Orchestra, which then got me to know Billy Cobham, so I ended up doing Spectrum with Billy Cobham, which became one of the defining albums of the jazz fusion period. And with Phil Collins, he was aware of what I had done, and I knew of his work through Genesis, and we came together on a Lee Ritenour record and hit it off, and we've been working pretty much ever since then. As for special moments on the road, generally my special moments are what nobody would really care about them but me, because they're more about intimate relationships I've developed with people on the road. One of them, I won't go into because it's an incredibly long story, but it was a family that I met in the Glasgow airport, and they lived in Belfast, and their little son David was about 4 years old, and we just ended up hanging out, and I invited them to our concert, and he thought I was Santa Claus, and when it was at a Phil Collins concert, and when the show ended, the publicist pointed to Phil Collins and said, "Do you know who that is?" And this little kid goes, "He's Santa's helper." But these are long stories that get very involved. But one of the most poignant moments I ever remember on tour was we played with James Taylor in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And he had just recorded Only a Dream in Rio at this point. After our first time, we went to Rio and played the first Rock in Rio festival. And when we played this soccer stadium in Sao Paulo, when we started playing Only a Dream in Rio, the audience started flicking cigarette lighters in the audience to the beat. but because the stadium was like 100,000 people and it was so massive that from the stage you saw fire going back, waves of fire going. We almost stopped playing. It was so moving. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and that's a great memory. And one of the other best memories is every single time we ever play with Phil Collins, when we do In the Air Tonight, when the drum fill comes, there's a tension in the rooms, and people bring their sticks with them, and when that hits, you see the whole audience, ba 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 ba, and it gets us every time. It gives us goosebumps every time we would see the audience. The best time was on the last tour. I know this is long-winded, you can edit it all out and all that if you want. But the last time we were on tour, our stage was set up in such a way where Chester Thompson's drum kit was on one side and Phil's was on the other, but there was a big stairway that went around the back of the stage, up on the top of the stage. And Phil would always walk around doing In the Air Tonight. And every time we would do these gigs with the normal setup, as he got to where the drum fill was, he would be at his drum kit, and then he and Chester would play this fill. Well, on this tour, Phil started walking up these stairs, and there was nothing at the top of the stairs, and you could see the audience getting agitated because they knew the drum fill was coming, and Phil was nowhere near his drum kit. But at the very last second, a drum kit came up out of the top of the stage, and he stepped right into it and played the drum fill, and the place would go completely crazy. So I love those kind of moments, but there's other moments that happen too, like we just played in Barcelona last night, just Judith and I. And you're sitting in a room and you're so close to people and you can feel them breathing in the room, and there's an intimacy of a room like that. And there's a magic that happens in those situations too. So for me, it's not all about playing big stadiums and all that. It's connecting with an audience. And the joy I'm having working with Judith on through these tours is her music, her connection lyrically and musically with the audience is quite profound and quite deep. And so whenever we get to do this, I'm really, I'm like a kid in a candy store. You know, I really just love being on stage with her and playing this music and seeing the response of people, because she knows how to touch the human experience in her lyrics, and she's not shy about the foibles of her life and expresses them in a way where people come up to us afterwards and goes, God, I've been dealing with depression for so long, and you so let me see what I'm dealing with, and they come away almost healed. They've had a cathartic experience at the show. So I feel really blessed. My career's been able to run this complete gamut of giant, huge concerts and stuff, down to playing little intimate situations, but the music is always paramount. That's what it's all about, and I feel really fortunate, and I feel fortunate that at this point in my life I'm still busy and I'm still doing things that I love, and I'm working with people that I adore, so I can't complain.
So what is the difference between my music and the first record, Emotions on a Postcard, and today? And what is my identity? What is my musical identity? Well, the difference between my music then and now is really here and here. So my music has evolved, and it has matured, and it has grown, and it has improved. When I sang and I write music to be healthy, to be well. If I don't sing, if I don't write music, I'm a very unhappy and not a well person. So I have to do it. It's not something that I just do, it's fine, it's okay, I can do it, I can't do it. No, I have to do it. Because if I don't, then this doesn't do very well. So, in my first record, you can hear my sound. My sound has always been my sound. It's me at the piano. That's the relationship, it's me and the piano always. And the songs are very emotionally powerful, and they're very emotionally honest. They're really honest, and I open myself up completely. But you hear in each record, you hear how I'm doing, as in how I'm doing. And you hear how I get healthier and healthier and healthier, and then I keep getting better and better. And the music keeps doing that, and it keeps growing, and it keeps opening, and it gets better. The better I get, the happier and the less ill I am, the better the music is. And so the last record and this record are the only two records I've done where I can say I was actually absolutely okay. So, and yet you hear the same sound, you know, the same thing that I am as a musician, all the way back there, It's the same, but it's just like grown, and that you know, I am who I am. That has never changed. But I've got, you know, I've got better, and I believe that if you have a great sadness in you, then even if you get happy, when I say happy, if you get well, if you get healthy, you can always write about that place. You can always reach that place. And so that's what I do now. I'm not living in that place of unhappiness. I'm actually very, very, very grateful and relieved that I'm okay. And I write from a place of real joy, so it's that the difference between then and now, huge. And yet, you know, musically, the sound is always there. It's always there. It's just that sound that I have. Children.
Where do we go?
Hi, my name is Judith Owen, and I would like to say hello to all the viewers of Galileo Galilei TV. I'm very much looking forward to playing here at this wonderful club, so I hope you'll check it out later. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leland Sklar, and we are sitting here, and I just wanted to say hi to everyone who's out there enjoying this on Galileo Galilei TV. I'm proud to be a part of this, and I hope you're enjoying it, and I can't wait to get back and see you all again.
We walk this road together through good and troubled times. Held your hand when you were down. For a lifetime you held mine. I did not see this coming. Well, I guess you never do. I have no regrets, smile. I've just one thing to say to you. Long may you walk in fields of green, and may the angels guard your side. Thank you for love, thank you for life, thank you for sadness, and yet no more regrets, no more goodbyes. Thank you for love, thank you for life, thank you for everything. Sadness, and yet no more regrets, no more goodbyes. Sadness, and yet no more regrets, no more goodbyes. No more goodbyes.
Gracias. Mr. Leland Sklar. I need some screaming. I need some whistling.
and Jupiter aligns with Mars. Then peace will guide the planets, and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. Harmony and understanding